Hey there, listener. Corey Andrew Powell here, and I'm excited to share that Motivational Mondays is now sponsored by BetterHelp. Feeling stressed or anxious? Well, BetterHelp brings you online therapy that's convenient and affordable. NSLS members get 50% off your first month of BetterHelp when you sign up at betterhelp.com/NSLS or click the link in the show notes. Start your journey to better mental health today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another inspiring episode of Motivational Mondays presented by the NSLS, where we are now at over 2 million members strong. I'm your host, Corey Andrew Powell, of course, and I am absolutely thrilled today to be joined by a powerhouse of talent, creativity, and motivation. Our guest is the incredible Michele McCain, who's a global motivational storyteller, thought leader, singer-songwriter, actress, and she's graced stages all over the world, from debuting at Shea Stadium alongside the legendary James Brown to shining on Broadway in the Tony Award-winning Ain't Misbehavin'. Her illustrious career includes starring in roles in international productions of Barnum and sharing the spotlight with legends like B.B. King and Michael Bolton, Celia Cruz, and even leaving her mark as a published songwriter and a presence in film, television, and global advertising campaigns. Whew, girlfriend's been busy. I'm so excited to welcome her here. We're going to talk a little bit about this new phase that she's actually engaged in. And it's a sort of a new chapter for her, becoming more of a global presence on the internet. So we're so happy to have you here, Michele McCain. Welcome to Motivational Mondays.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. I feel like a child with a new toy on Christmas, honey.
Oh my goodness. Well, I am so honored to have you here. And full transparency, Michele and I, well, we've never met physically, but we've like adored each other forever. And we talk
Years.
online and we chat all the time online. And we recorded a fabulous song together called
Yes.
Work a
Work,
couple
work,
years
work,
back. Work,
honey.
work, work.
Good
And it's
things come to those that work.
Yes, it really embodies, I think both of us really could
Yeah.
sink our teeth into that, because I think we're the
Yes.
living embodiment of putting in the work
Yes.
and getting the results. So, but enough about, that stuff that includes me. We're here to talk about you. So I want to first off let everyone know you are coming to us today from Mallorca, Spain.
Palma de Mallorca in Spain. Yes.
But you're a Brooklyn girl originally, right?
Born and raised in Brooklyn.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness. So really
From Brooklyn.
from Brooklyn, yes. And so tell me about how you I guess you want to give us the abbreviated version if you can. How do you end up in that beautiful place? Well, not that Brooklyn's not beautiful, but how'd you end up there from being a Brooklyn girl?
Well, one of my moments of Broadway, we did the international tour. So, what happens to a lot of us, I call myself a Broadway refugee because
Mm,
a lot of us, we come to Europe and many of us stay. I'm one of the ones that stayed. And
mm,
that was almost 40 years ago. I've been here that long.
wow.
So, yeah, coming on tour with Ain't Misbehavin', I was around for 2 years touring. And then after I had residencies in Germany in Theatre des Westens with Freddie Quinn, who was the singer of Just a Gigolo. You remember that song?
I do.
Just a Gigolo.
Before
Well,
David Lee Roth's version, by the way.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And
The
so
original.
I worked with Freddie in the theater in Germany after leaving Barnum, after leaving Ain't
Mhm.
Misbehavin'. And I also did the Spanish version. So we were in Madrid for a year or so, and then we went on tour. And one of the places we came was Mallorca. And I was sitting on the rocks looking out at the sea one day, and I saw the most incredible orange sunset. And I was just sitting there all by myself, and I said, "I'm staying," and I stayed.
Wow.
Everybody else left, and I was here, and I'm still
Mm.
here.
And that's
Yeah.
something. Yeah. No, moments of inspiration. I always tell people too, that's why it's important to travel in general, because many people who have never been outside of their own comfort zone or their own zip code for that matter, they don't know there could be a whole other place in the world that really beckons and speaks to them. So
Well,
it's
the thing
important.
is that we're not on a whole encouraged to travel. The ones that traveled in the summertime were a certain class of people that sent their children with their backpacks to Europe every summer. And they're the ones that got that kind of knowledge. We didn't have that kind of knowledge to tour and get on a plane and go to Spain and go,
Yeah.
we can go to the Bahamas. We can maybe shoot down to Puerto Rico but coming all the way over here, it just wasn't happening, especially in my time.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
it's more frequent. Now it's everywhere, but
Yeah,
we
that's
weren't.
true. And also for a lot of people who are, I guess, in certain minority groups as well, social economics come into play for my generation growing up. So most of my friends didn't travel because of finances on that level of travel. And so I am making up for it now, mind you, believe me. But
You surely are.
I'm
And
doing it now.
I hope that we are going to see you here in Mallorca one of
Oh,
these summers.
Yes, it is a dream. And I have a friend, Michael Harbo, who lives there. And yes, I hope to visit and see you both in person one day eventually. So that's on my bucket list for sure. Now, your journey in show business began with, as I mentioned, the iconic moment performing alongside James Brown at Shea Stadium. What was that experience like? Because for a woman of a certain age, like James was like Michael Jackson. You know what I
Yes,
mean? At one
exactly.
point. So what was that
And
like?
that was in that time of I'm Black and I'm Proud. So you can imagine. I was 13 and 60,000 people. You can imagine. You don't understand the ramifications of doing something so large. But apart from that, at that time I was dancing. So I was an African dancer with Olatunji. And we were called the Pied Pipers, and we toured with James Brown. And in that instance in Shea Stadium, I was dancing with a 7-foot boa constrictor under those hot lights, and he happened to bite me in the boob.
Oh
So
no!
I was bit in the boob, holding this big giant thing. Of course, he was tired. It was hot. The lights. Nobody thought, and they sensed very quickly. So I was getting tired. The witch doctor passed me the snake. I had him in my hands. I was getting tired. And so my right hand kind of like started to go down. And when he sensed that, he lunged for me and he bit me in the boob. But my reflexes were so quick that he grazed me, but he didn't get hooked into my chest. But he had my costume in his mouth. So I had to dance. I had to dance off the stage, honey. I danced off the stage with the boa constrictor. And when I got backstage, my mother was screaming. She was all hysterical. The security guard was screaming. He had his gun out and said, "You can't shoot him now." On my boot. What are you doing?
Right, right.
So finally we got him off. They put him in the box. Unfortunately, they put him to sleep. But yeah.
Oh,
Many
my
people don't
goodness.
know that story. That's going in the book. So you got it here first.
The exclusive snake boob bite story from Michele McCain. I love it. Oh my gosh. That's terrifying though, because people don't realize very often in the world of performing, there's a lot of stories like that where we kind of go the distance
Yeah.
for an audience, and they think, no, that's not a prop.
No,
That's a
it
real
was
snake.
real, and he was heavy, and it was hot. But yeah, well, I've got. You can imagine the stories I have.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, I mean, that's the whole thing is like people ask you, what's one of the most memorable experiences? And they don't expect a story like that. So I'm glad that it worked out well for you and that snake did not eventually have you for lunch. So or dinner or whatever time of night it
Or
was.
have my boob for lunch.
Right. At least that, and leave you with just that one. So that would be
Yeah.
that would not have been pleasant.
It would not be cute
No.
at all.
But you made your Broadway debut as well and Ain't Misbehaving. Now, wasn't Nell Carter in that show?
Yes, I was Nell's understudy.
Oh.
One of her understudies. Yes.
Wow. And did you go on because of in that process of where she didn't go out all
Honey,
night?
Miss Nell was a trip, honey. She was wonderful. She was wonderful, and then on the other hand, she was totally uncontrollable.
Yeah.
And yes, she did that to me. I used to watch the show every night, even before I got into the show, because at that time there were maybe like 4,000 people auditioning for Ain't Misbehaving at that time. And I'm one of the ones that had never sung in a show. I had never been in Broadway. I had never been on that kind of stage. And but I had many friends that were dancers and many friends that were in the theater. And I would go every single night and watch the show. Before I even got in, I learned the show, I knew the show. And at that time I was in between sizes. So I was too big to be Charlene, and I was too small to be Armelia McQueen's part, and I still wasn't even enough weight to be Nell's part. So,
Hmm.
and I had just recently lost that doggone weight. And so I started eating. I started putting in. I started eating. And going to the show every night, watching it. And Richard Maltby, who was the director, would come and give me a hug. But he was really seeing if I was gaining weight. That's what he was seeing, you know? And to make a long story short, I got into the show. I had an out of body experience
Hmm.
in my audition. I learned so much from my friends. I was totally prepared. But the girl who went on before me, who was in Sophisticated Ladies, I think at that time, obviously she could sing her ass off,
Hmm.
and she sang the same song I was going to sing.
Oh, you had no idea until you heard her go
Oh
first. And
no, I heard her sing and I said, "Oh my God, she's singing my song. What do I do now?" Remember, I'm the one without the experience there.
hmm.
But I knew I did have my own piano player with me, and I said, "Okay, well, let's just do this." So I went, I sang that song, but my out of body experience came because I watched myself from the wings at the piano singing. So I was in the wings and I saw myself at the piano singing.
Hmm.
And to make a long story short, I got in the show and she didn't.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
yeah, yeah. Nell, one night, she started the show and then she started during the show. She would sing, "No mean to me, why must you be mean to me?
Yeah.
There, honey, it
That
seems."
nasal tone.
Oh,
Yeah.
child. And so, the next thing I knew, they came just before intermission. They said, "You're on." And I was like, "Okay." And I just put on my roller skates and did it.
I love that. You know, Michelle, well, because we are a leadership podcast and there's so much to unpack there when it comes to the leadership lessons that we really drive home. One of my favorite in that story is the fearlessness to have the I guess the guts just to know when you have to be prepared, be ready, because you don't know when the moment's going to come, but you have to just be ready for it and
Yeah.
also know when to pivot. You know,
Yes.
you were there to audition and you ended up getting an understudy role and you took it. You didn't say no, you said yes, I'll figure it out when I get there. Didn't let fear
Oh,
stop you. And
of course.
there's so much there when it comes to leadership. So I love the fact that you were not afraid. I mean, was there ever something that you were like, oh, I don't know if I can do this? Or were you just really like, no,
No,
I got it?
I'm not a person that says I can't do. There's certain words I don't use, and I believe our words are magic wands, and we have to be very careful of what we say.
Mm,
What we say goes out into the universe, and if you are giving mixed signals, the universe doesn't know what to give you. So you have to
absolutely.
be very intentional in what you say, I believe. So I'm not a person that says I can't do this. And it doesn't matter if I get those little butterflies. I get those little butterflies. You normally before I sing, I have to go to the bathroom. It's like,
Hmm.
I don't go, but I gotta go to the bathroom.
Right.
So I mean, those things are normal. If you don't have those, you're a little bit AI. Yeah, you're like a little bit robot.
Right. Sure.
You need to have some kind of emotion. And they used in during the years because I did a misbehaving for over 5 years between Broadway, between the national, international companies, traveling 2 times through Canada, and
Mm,
then 2 years, 2 years or so almost over here in Europe. So at one point, I was the troubleshooter. So whenever there was a problem, they would call me. They would use
mm,
me. They would change me. They would because they knew that I would handle it, whatever had
hmm.
to be done. You know, even there was a curious story from how I pivoted from being Nell's understudy. Because at one time she had two, Terry White. I don't know if you know of Terry White. Terry White was one of her understudies. And then we have the diva Lilias White, who was
Mm,
also
of
there.
course.
Yeah, I was there in that whole time with those
Hmm.
divas. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Um, And I was the baby. I was the one, like, where the hell she come from? That one, you know.
Right.
I was the one. Oh, she can't sing. I was
Mm.
that one. But I was
Hmm.
the one that when I finished my songs, they would be up on their feet.
Exactly. And you don't even
So,
get that. You don't get there unless you could sing. I mean, they don't
well,
play at that level.
I had to, but there's a whole lot of emotional. Broadway is a very curious place. They are very territorial, and you have to really be get into the tribe in order for them to accept you. When you're an
Mm.
outsider, you're an outsider. You don't even look to see what makeup somebody else is using. You just don't do it. You look at
Oh,
your
wow.
makeup. You don't. No, it's deep. You know,
Wow. I didn't know that.
I've had itching powder put in my underwear. I've had, oh yeah, honey, they're deep.
Oh my goodness. Well,
They
see, I
can,
never got that far. I
well,
wouldn't
yeah,
get
but
that.
you've been with models, so
Right. Same. Yeah, they can be vicious.
you
Yeah.
know they can be vicious. So anyway, um, it was we were I was an understudy, and we were going to open in Baltimore, and they were bringing the national company down to, you know, get ready to do the national tour. So that day, everybody was coming. All of the bigwigs were coming down, and I had asked Arthur Faria if he would watch our rehearsal because I had some questions, and I was having a little bit of tiff and tough with the dance captain. And so they said, yes, of course. So they came, they watched our rehearsal. That night, when I came into the theater, went to go to the dressing room of the standbys, my name
Hmm.
wasn't on the door. And I'm like, why isn't my name on the door? And they were like, well, you're not in here anymore. I'm like, well, why am I not in here?
Hmm.
You're around the corner. So okay. I ran around the corner. To make a long story short, they took the role away from the girl who had the role and gave it to me.
Oh my goodness.
So that night I became a lead.
The lead actress. Yeah.
So you can't walk in fear. You just
Hmm.
can't. You have to be ready. You have to be prepared. Education, study, know your craft.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, be open to learn something new.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. When it
I
comes to leadership, the best thing is that people have to really admit when they don't know something. And that is the most important thing. So many people are afraid to admit that.
yes.
And it's very important just to be like, hey, you know what? I don't know. And, we talk about the Broadway thing. I auditioned quite a bit, and I always got the call back, but never got the part. And then eventually I was
Mhm.
like by the third callback, I'm like, you know what? I've sang these songs enough. I had to ask myself, am I really interested that much in it? And I was like, no, I'm not coming back a fourth time. Like, y'all heard me sing these
Yeah.
songs. Like, but that's the choice I made. But other
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
the perseverance, keep going. And, that's the choice that I made to be like, I don't think I wanted that that
Yeah. Yeah.
badly, you
Yeah.
know?
You have to. When I saw Ain't Misbehaving, a friend of mine, may rest in peace, took me to see that show. And when I saw Amelia McQueen turn around on that piano, big, beautiful, cough. I mean, I love all of the old things. And so it was just amazing. And in
Hmm.
that moment, I knew I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
I just knew
Yeah.
I wanted to do it, and I didn't stop until I got it.
So, what would you say has been for you one of the most rewarding accomplishments when you've done so many different varied things?
That's difficult to answer only because each moment was special. Each
Mm.
each thing that was accomplished was special. And once I'm the type of person that normally once I accomplish something, then I'm on to the next thing, the next
Mm.
high, the next whatever, something else
Mhm.
presents itself. So
Right.
that's a little bit difficult for me because for that very reason, because I've done so much. I mean, I've done the James Brown, the Michael Bolton, seen Celia Cruz, Xavier Cugat, you know, uh, and then how you take that and then you do a movie with Mickey Rooney in
Mhm.
Portugal.
Oh, wow.
You
Yeah.
know, I mean, so they're just moments in life. But what we have to learn to do, I think it's very important. We have to realize that the sky has no limits. People say the sky is the limit. There is no limit. It's infinite. It can go on forever. You can go on forever. You can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you can think of. If you can think of it, it can be done. It's around you all the time. How did the airplane get here? The car, the ironing board, the refrigerator, all of these things. They came because somebody thought of it. So anything that we can think of can happen.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I'm always like watching Shark Tank going, I gotta figure out what's that new thing. Girl, I'm trying to find that fork that cooks its own food, or
Well, wait a minute.
I'm trying to invent something.
Speaking of that, now I have a thing about I hate flies, and so and I'm here on an island, so you can imagine.
Yeah.
So I have my little thing, and the other day I just realized if I take the cap from the pen and put it on the straw, it fits perfectly.
Oh, look
Okay.
at you. Okay.
And I've been thinking all this time, how can I get somebody in China to make this for me?
Listen, well, we've had Mark Cuban on the show. We've had Damon. We've had Barbara Corcoran on different things that we do here at the NSLS. So, I'll see if I can find out maybe a Shark Tank connection and get you on there and figure out how to get your idea presented. It's very funny you say that, because I love that we should really be serious about this, because so often we all have ideas and we have these things and they become fleeting, right? We think of them, they're in and out. We don't do anything to bring them to life or execute them. And I remember being in the 8th grade, and I hated that men's shirts were all so boxy and long, and I had a little short torso, and they always looked like I was wearing smocks. I hated them. Do you know, this is like me, like in the 80s, I would go home and I would cut the buttons off my shirt, and I would sew them with my grandmom's hem tape. Remember hem tape to make your, with an iron?
Yeah. You iron it on.
Iron it on, and I would iron on my hems and make my shorts shorter and tighten them up around the waistline. Well, that's now called Untuck It.
Wow.
That's that company. That guy literally made an entire empire for shirts with that exact concept. And I thought about that. I'm like, I thought about that like literally when I was 14 or 15 years old, but he thought about that too and made it into a business. So everyone, do not discount your ideas when you think of
Never,
something.
ever. You have to know your why. You have to know your why. You have to know your value, and you have to think about it. What we have to learn to do is be intentional, and we have to teach our children to be intentional with their thoughts. Johnny wants to play the guitar. Get him a damn guitar and let him play it. Give him lessons and teach him. Even if he decides not to do it later, it's something that he has. It's something that he can always use at some point in his life. I have a grand piano here in my house that nobody plays.
Yeah, well, I can relate. I have yeah. Me too.
In fact, we have their baby grands, right? The little ones.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we both have them.
I think I posted a picture of mine a while back.
And we have the same. And so I got this when my daughter was 6 or 7. She's 37 now. Never played it. I think she played the chopsticks one time. And if I ever have anybody here that I have to rehearse with, which is I hardly ever do that in my house, it's been played. But I always say the only thing I'm a bit angry with my mom about, that she never insisted that I learn how to play the piano.
Yeah. My mom, it's so funny. My mom, I was just visiting with her and she said that exact same thing. So she said, well, when I come visit you, we'll knock about. And my mom is 75 on her next birthday, and she's thinking of finally, thank you. Yes. And she's thinking of at 75, especially because it would be a great cognitive exercise for memory. She's like, I think I'm going to buy a little piano and start piano lessons at 75 years old.
Wow.
So
of course you can. Of course you can. My mom's 92.
Oh.
And she's here with me. Unfortunately, she's had her ups and downs, and there are days when she's super and getting up and wants her hair done, her nails done, get her feet done. We take her, and do that and go out to dinner and stuff. But they're a treasure, I'm going to interview her because I want to have that. I want to have that memory always, and pass it down. Can you imagine? My mom has seen everything 92 years old. What has she
Yeah.
not seen of the transition of the world, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just important. It's important that we don't put a limit on ourselves and that we don't block our blessings.
hmm
Do
Yeah.
not block, do not sit like, no, I don't want no blood. No, open your arms up. Open your arms up and receive the goodness, receive the blessings because they're out there. And
hmm
if you don't take them, if you don't receive them, somebody else is going to take them.
Yeah. Oh, that's so true. That's so true. And it's amazing too. And I tell people how, they are often their own worst enemy. They don't really get it. But so often people's most doubting voices are the ones
Yes,
that they themselves are repeating to themselves. But then there's another layer to that. Most of those negative voices have come from other people. So they're
of
in
course.
there, right?
Of
So we got to
course.
learn how to get rid of them.
You've got to shut out the noise. You got to shut out those voices.
hmm
But we are so programmed. When you live over here in Europe, you get another perspective of life on a holistic kind of way.
mm
And we are so programmed, especially in America, in a negative way about our schooling, what we eat, how we live, how we approach things. We are trained to be workers. We're not trained to be millionaires. We're not trained to be billionaires. I'm around those kind of people, and in the last few years, a lot.
hmm
I see a lot about investing money. Who told us about investing? Nobody.
mm
I even got this little black book that has these envelope things, and you can put money in at the end of
Yep.
the year. You'll have $5,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
I started it, then I took the money out because I had to use it.
I was going to
But
say, did you get to the end of the finish line with that? Apparently
but
not,
now
right?
I started it again, and
Okay.
so because I want to go to Ghana next year, and so I'm
Mm.
I'm I'm putting that in there.
Yes,
But yeah,
yes.
you've got to not block your blessings, and you've got to stop saying that the sky is the limit because there is no limit. There is no
Mm.
limit to what we can do, what we can think, how we can feel, how we can love. And if we follow those few little things, it makes a world of difference.
Mm.
I have two mentors that I'm working with now, and mentors are very, very important. I used to think, oh, all that jumping up and down and rah, 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 and sis boom ba, and doesn't really, but you have to find your tribe.
hmm
Everybody's tribe is not your tribe. You have to find your tribe.
Yeah.
And I'm working with this woman called Arlen Hamilton. That's a whole nother story. Just write down that name and check her out. This woman
hmm
is fierce. Okay. She used to, at one point, she was so poor, she would sleep in the airport in San Francisco on the floor at night, and in the day, get up and go to Silicon Valley and pitch her spiel. She's one of Mark Cuban's partners.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. So she's my mentor, and I have learned so much from this woman. She's doing a thing that she will teach you how to make 100,000, 100 an extra 100,000 in 1 year if you listen to everything that she says.
Hmm.
The value that this woman gives you in information, you don't. Even if we won the lottery, we wouldn't have enough money to pay this woman. Okay,
Wow. Wow.
and she's giving it. I mean, we pay 100 a month, whatever. But what you get is so incredibly valuable that it's stupid the money that
Not to
she's
do it. Yeah.
doing it, right?
Mm.
And then the other one is in YouTube. Her name is Taiwan. She does this is why I learned the word evergreen content, which I'm doing now with my motivational things.
hmm
And she has over 12 million viewers and 180,000 followers. This woman makes a really nice chunk of money every month, but not only from YouTube, from the ads, from this. And what I'm learning from her is ridiculous.
hmm
And these are just things that you just don't think about, because who has time to go through all of YouTube looking for information, and who do you believe and who don't you believe, and who, all of these different things. But yeah, so I'm doing the mentor thing. I'm doing all of this. 70, honey, get it.
Yes, at 70 years old, reinvention, doing
Get
these
it.
amazing things. That brings me to my next question about the Michelle McCain experience. So is that your YouTube channel? And what is
Yeah.
it exactly that you hope to
That's
accomplish?
that's my YouTube channel, and it's also my community, because I have a community of my own, which is
Mhm.
Michelle McCain Experience, a safe space for women over 45 or women over 50,
Mhm.
where we gather. And mine is free. And later I will upscale, because I've learned about upscaling, I've learned
Mhm.
about courses, I've learned about doing all these things.
Right.
So what we will do is they come in, we talk about things, we talk about um, empowering one another, we're seen, we're heard, we're not judged. I told them, I said, this has to be the place where you come to just chill.
Mhm.
You have to just chill. And so this is what I'm doing with that. The YouTube and the podcast are two different things, but they all intertwine. So I'm using the podcast as an open funnel to funnel people into my community. So that's more private. That's a
Mhm.
private place where
Yeah.
women have a space where they can just chill. But
Mhm.
the other is an open, it's YouTube, and it's motivational. I also have a motivational faceless channel with just quotes,
Hmm.
for just to, because women are so, well, men too, but I'm a woman and I have to try to defend women at the moment. And we are just so tired.
Hmm.
Women are just tired. They get up in the morning, they fix the food, they do this, they go cooking, they go to work, they take care of the kids, they do this. I know it's typical, but it's true. And you get tired after you're doing all of that. And then on top of that, you have to look good, you have to lose weight, you got to go to the gym, you got to do your nails, you got to do your, I mean, come on, give me a break.
Yeah.
Give me,
Society puts a big stress on women to do all those things and somehow do it like in heels.
yeah, yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
I had to say to somebody the other day. They wrote something that they were starting on their channel, and it's like, we want to empower Black women, big, powerful Black woman. I said, girls, listen. I understand your heart, and I know that you are very truthful in your wanting to help and all of this. But do you mind thinking about changing that word, Black powerful women? We're tired of being powerful. When
Hmm.
you say that word, they looking at us like, "Oh, here she comes. She powerful. If you
Right.
did, she big. She can knock us out. She can knock it down. She can." No, we're just women,
Hmm.
just like all the rest of y'all. Can you kind of change that narrative and give us a break? Let us breathe.
Hmm. Wow. That is really profound because they obviously the intention is that it's representing strength and power, but you're saying, yeah, but then that also gives the appearance that we can handle everything.
Yes,
Throw it all on us because we're
yes,
indestructible. At the end of the day, no, we are just as vulnerable as any other woman
as
in
everybody else.
retired.
I mean, come on, give me a break.
Mm,
Give
yeah,
it a rest. And they
yeah,
did they did change it up a little bit, and I thanked them. I said
yeah.
thank you, because on top of this, these were not Black women that were saying these things. They
Okay,
were the
so
other. They were the other.
yeah, yeah,
There's so many of us. Well, these were the others, and I'm
right.
like, no, no, we're tired. I don't want you to put that. I don't want you to speak in my name that way.
Mm. That's so powerful too, because it's a great lesson of very often we have people who are meaning well to be allies.
Oh yeah.
And we've got to be very careful not to shut them down. Me on Facebook, I used to be like treacherous. I used to be just, I had to take a step back because I was just snatching
You
wigs,
were
honey.
we were snatching. That was so wonderful, but that was so wonderful. You didn't
Yeah,
even
we
touch
had
it.
those
And
fun,
then you were chopping people. People
right?
got
My
the
chops.
chop.
Yeah, I would
People
chop
got
them
the
and
chop. That
they
was
got the
just
chop,
wonderful.
which was fun. I had to kind of make it my own way.
Yeah.
But there were times though where I would see conversations about race, for example, and very well-meaning people who were not Black would try to enter the conversation, and Black people would a lot of Black people in the conversation would tell them, well, this isn't for you, and nobody's talking to you, and mind your business. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would get
All
in
of
there
that.
and I would say, well, wait a minute. We
All of
cannot,
that.
on one hand, ask white people to understand our plight and then shut
Yeah,
them down when they attempt to enter the conversation. So I love how
exactly.
you educated these women and you said, I appreciate you, but I'm gonna need you to
I
change.
will always say please and thank you first before I
Mhm.
have to cuss you out. Always,
Right. Lead with the positive.
always,
We lead with the
always,
positive.
always, always,
Wow.
always.
Well, my dear Michelle McCain, I have one final question for you here, and it is given all this great advice you've given and shared your life story with us and all the wonderful things you're doing, which we're going to make sure we have links to your wonderful social media platforms when we do publish this interview. But I would love for you to share, because we have many listeners who are college students. They're at the
Yeah,
beginning of their life. They're,
yeah.
they're starting out on their journeys. What advice would you give them about building a fulfilling life and career?
Well, I think that the first thing that they have to acknowledge is that education is very necessary. Whether you are going to school, whether you read every book that's in the library, whether you, if you want to make a million, ask the millionaire
Mm,
how to do it. You want to make a dress, you're going to ask the dressmaker how to do it. And we have to, again, we have to find our why. What is your why? Why do you want to do what you want to do? And unfortunately, I don't know if it's that way now in America, because you have to remember, I lost the whole generation of America.
mm,
Okay, I've been over here so long, I've lost the generation. I've recuperated quite a bit because now I'm in a community of 400 women. So I have that sisterhood now that I didn't have all of this time growing up. And I've learned a lot of things. So you have to know your why. That's the first thing. And you have to shut those voices out sometimes. I know mommy might want you to be a doctor because they need a doctor in the family. I know daddy might want you to be a lawyer because they need a lawyer in the family. But what does your child want?
mm,
What does your child want to do? My daughter is 37. She's traveling the world. She's working in what she loves to do. She just came back from being the first and second AD on Gordon Ramsay's show.
oh, wow. Okay.
She's doing things,
Hmm.
movies, and I told her, fly and do what you want to do. You can always come home. You can always come here and rest. You can always come here and lick your wounds if you need to. You can always come here and kick your feet back and be happy. We have to let our children grow. We have to let them be themselves. They are separate human beings. They're separate entities. They have their own minds. They have their own thoughts. Let those thoughts nurture. Let them grow and help them. As long as they're not killing somebody, as long as they're not drugging it or whatever is negative for them, if
Hmm.
it's something positive, you need to let them grow and you need to be there to support them. So I would say to them, do what you want to do. Look for it, find it, study it. Maybe you'll find out later it's not what you want to do. But if you don't try it, you'll never know that. So don't block your blessings. And remember that Michelle said the sky has no limit.
I love it. Thank you so much, Michelle McCain. Words of wisdom and words to live by, global motivational storyteller, thought leader, singer, songwriter, and actress, and just really just an awesome lady. I
Oh,
absolutely
thank you,
adore
darling.
you. And we really appreciate you being here today with us on Motivational Mondays.
Thank you, Corey. It's been a pleasure. Blessings.